Okay, here we are. Welcome to my podcast. It's called Inside the Lab with Peter Kalos. I'm Peter Kalos. And today I want to talk to you guys about the crew and all the different departments that are involved in film producing. And this example I'm giving is for a big budget film. And the reason I'm doing this is so that actors understand where they fit in the bigger picture. And it's not about us being rude and not talking to certain people. I need you to understand what relationship you have with people, what business relationship, so you know who you need to express your ideas to when the moment and the right time happens, because it's extremely overwhelming. You turn up on a film set, you haven't met 99% of the people, and someone turns up to you and says, here you go, sit over there, do over this, and then they call you up and you sit in front of a camera, and all of a sudden at least 50 people are staring at you, and it's quite overwhelming. Your body freezes. And your work turns to shit, basically, because you're nervous and you're worried and there's people in your face. So the more you understand who does what and you understand what they do, you either know that this person I have to deal with, this person, they've got a job to do. I don't necessarily have to deal with them directly. And also your window of opportunity to talk creatively to a director is actually very, very small. Okay, so this, we hope, helps you understand where you fit in. Now, you're going to hear a lot of these terms, and I don't want you to feel like you have to know these things, but they help to some degree if you have an awareness, so you don't feel like, oh my God, what's that word? I feel like an idiot. I don't know who's who. Okay. One of the big things you're going to hear people talking are above the line and below the line. Above the line, when they're doing a budget, means everyone that's mandatory to make this specific film, this specific project. We need a line producer. They're putting up the money. Without that, you're going nowhere. We need a script. So we have the script writer. They're above the line. You need the money. You need the director above the line. You need the main actor who's hopefully going to sell this project. You know, that's why they say who's connected to it. Those people above the line. The people below the line are what we call replaceable. The project can still go forward in this formation without them, right? That's above and below the line. And usually the money sits in above the line positions. That's where most of the big bucks goes, right? I'll try as best I can to tell you who's at the head of each department and how it flows downhill from there. So I want you guys as actors primarily to understand where you are. I do want to start with the script, and I've got notes everywhere. I'll try and be as organized as I possibly can. I work better without notes, but okay. Let's start with the script. Now, as far as the script divisions go, and as far as the script category, the script writer is, of course, the head of his own department or her own department, okay? You have a script. Now, let's go with a project of, we're going to be big here, let's go with a $100 million project. That's our budget, okay? I'll also try and explain to you as much as I can how much power each person has. If you're a very successful scriptwriter and you came up with this project, either you read a book and you came up with it, or it's your own original material, you have some clout to that. You say, this is my project, here's my script, I'm a writer of note, and you cannot change a word. That would be in your contract, meaning I write the script, don't touch it, okay? It doesn't mean that good ones aren't open to suggestions and stuff. Of course they are, okay? But they're the main person. Now, as the other level is, you are what they call a writer for hire. I'm a producer, my friend wrote a book, or I heard a great story, here's a bunch of money, write it, you get zero say in it. Meaning I just want the script, goodbye, we own it, I bought it off you, farewell. Okay, that's the difference between a writer for hire and an actual writer. The most, not the most famous, but the story that everyone knows is when Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky Balboa, the very first one. He wanted to act in it, and he wanted a lot of say in the script and how it's gone. So what happened is basically his paycheck started dwindling down because they wanted a famous name and they wanted to take care of the script. And he said, no, it's my script. I want creative control. So he exchanged creative control for immediate money, and of course it paid off. Okay. There's also another thing that I want most writers to understand is that it's your responsibility to make sure you have what they call a clean script. If I read someone's book, I can't just copy it and make it my own story without their permission. If I know a story of someone personal and private and I write it without their permission, I can get the whole project shut down. I've been on some amazing film sets, and I still remember one where they shut it down the Friday before the Monday where they started shooting. It was a big budget picture. I think it was like $6 million and above. And they had weeks and weeks of rehearsals with famous names. I mean, you can name drop that script all day long, and I won't do it for that reason. But it fell apart the Friday before because what happened is the script wasn't clean and the production team wasn't clean, meaning they didn't have permission to do certain things. So they shut it down, and it was a big deal. Okay? So a lot of people ask, or they usually get it, make sure that the script is clean. They have people who do that. But the first person that you're going to deal with is a script writer. Okay? And then what happens is you have someone to put up the money, which is under the production department. Okay? The first person or the key person there is the executive producer. They usually just find ways to bring up the money. There could be more than one executive producer, or the executive producer is someone that's hired by a big film company. So they say, here's a bunch of money, you're an executive producer, so your job is to raise $100 million. That's done. That's the executive producer. They bring up the money. The producer, who works below the executive producer, is the actual person who coordinates things, supervises things, controls matters, hiring the key people, but they've got the guarantee of the money from the executive producer. So the executive producer just brings the money, and the producer handles it as far as hiring and what to do and all that kind of stuff. There are some amazing executive producers, and I've met some of them that say, beautiful discussion once. He said, the guy's name was Lawrence Bender. He produced most of Quentin Tarantino's stuff. He said, I want to see my money on screen. Meaning, if I get told I need to buy a different table and it costs more, but it adds to the value of the film, then he would gladly do it. He's also one of the producers that took, I think, 9 months worth of acting classes at the Strasbourg Institute because he wanted to understand actors better. Those producers are not easy to find, not easy, that understand the whole thing, and they do make sure that their dollar ends up on screen. The executive producer hires a bunch of producers that take care of them. And then what they have is what they call the line producer. The line producer usually handles the budget of the film production, okay? They manage the day-to-day physical aspects of it. And basically what they do is, if you think of them as the middle people between the money people and the creative people, so that if I, as a director or an actor, say, hey, I need a square table rather than a round table, and I can justify it, then the line producer says, hey, Mr. Executive Producer, we need an extra, $50 for this table. Can you justify it? So line producers listen to everything going on the film set and report back and forth. What do we need creatively? What can we do? And they find the middle ground. When heads roll, it's their head that usually goes first because they oversee every department and they try and take care of the money. And if things go wrong, it's their job to say, hey, why didn't you tell me this or why didn't you tell me that? They are in the middle people. Then there is a whole thing called the production manager. They are the physical. They're on a set and they run around dealing with everything. They all the physical aspects of the production, all right? Personnel, technology, budget, scheduling. They make sure that the film stays on track and on budget within, working very closely with the line producer, all right? And they work very hard. They got a person so there's the production manager, there's the production coordinator, which usually runs around doing the hiring of the crew, the equipment, all that stuff, booking things. Then there's a production secretary, all administration stuff, all right? The production accountant, which of course has to report things, what's deductible, what's not, for obvious reasons. The production there's also a production, a PA. They call them PAs. PAs run around everywhere. You will deal with PAs. You may not always deal with a production manager. They may not talk to you as an actor directly. PAs will be in your face. If you need a cup of coffee, not that you're arrogant, but they will talk. You tell the director, hey, I need some water. The director will tell the second AD, and then so forth, and they'll just look at a P and say, get someone a glass of water, or get this, or get that. I'll share two funny stories with you. The first one is when Robert De Niro was working on Frankenstein, and they were in England. I wasn't there, but I heard of the story. And what happened is he was in his makeup, so he had all this Frankenstein makeup on, and he's just sitting there, and he needed a Coke, right? And he just asked for a Coke. But in England and on that film at the time, you had to pay. It wasn't like a Coke wasn't given free. So this poor production manager or production assistant just heard, can you get a Coke for someone? They didn't say it's a Coke for De Niro or stuff like that. And the kid said, hey, I got no money. So didn't get it for them. He said, oh, this person has to pay. And they said, no, just they started yelling at this kid to get the Coke. And the kid was like, no, man, whoever it is has to pay for it. And De Niro was sitting there with makeup on, like, just get me a fucking Coke, man. My mouth is dry, all right? And all he had to do is sit there, say, can someone give me a Coke? Someone had to tell the production assistant, please go get a Coke, or someone should have got him for it. The point is that the line of communication broke down over a stupid Coca-Cola, all right, which is true. The other one was once I was sitting on a film set one day, and I was just sitting around the set looking like shit. It was on Heat, the production of Heat, and a producer came and they spoke to Mr. De Niro over here. And they said, oh, hello, Mr. De Niro, how are you, blah, 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 blah. It was one of the producers. Remember now, there's the executive producer, which he's already met, but he was a new producer on the set. And he said, oh, would you like us to get you anything? And De Niro said to him, oh, I'd like an espresso, please. And the producer looked at me, assuming I'm a PA, and said, can you get Mr. De Niro a coffee cup? Or can you get Mr. De Niro an espresso? And Bob said, no, he's with me. Why don't you get me an espresso and get him one while you're at it? Which I actually like that story, but it was true. But the point is, production assistants, or called runners, they get told to grab everything in that moment, okay? So you got, as far as the production team is concerned, you've got the line producer, the executive producer who owns and pays for everyone's fee. So if you see them, be polite. Then there's the producer, and there could be as many producers. And then there's the line producer. Think of them as the middleman. And then there's the production assistants who run around doing everything, okay? Now, let's talk really quickly about the director's team. I am a director. I'm either a director with a passion and a vision, and I want things done my way, or I'm a director for hire, meaning shoot everything, get it in the can, on budget, don't waste our time, don't waste our money. And those are what we usually call bubblegum films. Yeah, they're interesting. You'll watch them on a plane. They're nice and safe. They'll make them money or break even or something like that. But nothing memorable. You're going to watch it when you're, like now, we're in the coronavirus. I think I've seen every freaking film on Netflix, all right? Meaning they're just there. It comes down to creative ideas and creative voice, okay? The director is responsible for seeing the creative aspects of the film. They have a vision of how it should go, the flow of the film, right? That obviously the actors, the locations, the whole look, the lighting of it. So the director is the head of their department. They talk to the line producer a lot. They talk to the executive producer a lot. And of course, they talk to their own team, which we'll talk about very soon. The camera and the DP and all that stuff. But immediately after and below the director is the first AD. And they work very closely with the production manager. They oversee the day-to-day management of the cast and crew, scheduling. They're the ones that write down your schedule. They make sure that everyone is where they should be. Depending on the budget of the film, if you've got a first AD and a second AD, and I turn up on a film set, let's assume I'm not a name actor, but I've got a role today and I'm only in 2 days of filming out of like roughly 6 weeks. When I turn up on a film set, the first AD, or based on the budget, the second AD will be the person that makes sure they find me. So they say, turn up, like here we're at the lovely Alex Theater today. They would have sent a production assistant to come find me because someone would have said, park over here. That production assistant will bring me to the second AD, where they usually handle all the paperwork, or they tell you where to sit, or they tell you where to eat, or they tell you this is your trailer. And then when it comes time to you being seen, they'll grab the second AD or production assistant, and they will come and introduce you to the director, which probably the last time you saw them was in the audition, right? But they're the ones that bring you there. So now here's the key thing to understand. The director doesn't yell and scream at everyone. Those days are gone, all right? The director literally sits there talking to the actor. The director, if you think of the director as talking to the heads of each department, I as the director will talk to the DP. I will tell my AD, go get Peter. Or, can you do this? Can you do this? I don't do much, meaning I actively don't do much than focus on the creative material as a director. But I have my AD over here who runs everything for me. If I want something done, something moved, something mailed, I don't tell the person specifically. I, as a director, talk to the AD. The AD either talks to the second or they talk to the people directly. You got me? I, as a director, only talk like I might talk to the DP and say, hey, I need this. And the DP talks to his own team. We don't sit there talking to everyone. We just talk to the heads of each category. That's what most directors do to be efficient. So as a good director, I would only talk to my AD as far as bringing the actors here and all that kind of stuff, right? But the big thing to understand about the AD, they have zero voice in the creative side of things. It's my voice as a director. The AD assists me in getting this done, but they have zero voice when it comes to creatively, how it's run. Okay, they're completely different people, right? And you, as an actor, should only talk, we'll talk more about this very soon, should only talk to a director about creative stuff. That's what it's about here. Don't talk to anyone else, just that. You can talk to the AD about where should you park your car, where should you do this, scheduling, all that stuff. Don't talk to them about scheduling. They don't know your freaking schedule. The AD knows your schedule, but the director is only creative stuff. So you have the director, the first AD, and the second AD below them. Sometimes there are third ADs, right? They usually, or for second AD, they usually handle the extras, the mass, the background people, if you want to call them that, right? Okay, they worry about everything but creative stuff. Okay, now as far as let's talk about. We'll talk about the actors now. Before we get into other details, there's so many other categories which I'll get to very soon. Let's talk about actors. If you are an actor who's above the line, you have a name, you get X amount of dollars. The most average, for a name actor these days is like $20 million a film, all right? So you now have this script. And if I'm a name actor, they will give me the script at least a year or two beforehand. And the reason for that is that you have a name and you have a schedule. Most great actors film 2 to 3 films a year, right? The old days, it used to be 10 because it was done by the studios. We'll talk about the difference between a studio. In the old days, it was a studio. Those were known as the studio days. Think of it, it's a shitty word, but it's true. They used to call it, we have a stable of actors. So they would have a bunch of actors, name actors. They'd have, Kirk Douglas, and they'd have all these people. They're part of their belt. So if I was Paramount and I had Kirk Douglas or Anthony Quinn or names just popping in my head, I'm trying to find one. They'll come to me. Tony Curtis, that's who I was trying to think of. They were under my contract. They got a big paycheck, a steady paycheck. They didn't get residuals. I would also hire those actors out. And it came down to basically just be reliable, be on time, which people like Elizabeth Taylor and Marilyn Monroe, of course, weren't, all right? and they cost the budget, the studios a lot of money. Like I think Cleopatra almost bankrupt. I think it was Sony, right? Because these people were late and stuff like that. Now, those, what they call studio days are gone. You're now, as an actor, you're an independent contractor. So it's the studios, they don't own you, they come and find you. And the bigger your name, the more they pay. So you're a famous actor, or I shouldn't use the word famous, I should use the word successful. You have a certain street value as an actor. It's your money that's bankable. So what they do is they, first of all, the way it works is they come to you and let's assume you're a famous actor or a well-known actor, and they say, are you interested in the script? So you read the script and you go, yes, I am. Now, if it's a story of passion and I really, really want to do this film, I will do it for a basic rate. I love this project. It means a lot to me. If it's what we call bubblegum, like Meet the Fockers and all that kind of stuff, the big studio productions, all the X-Men, all that kind of stuff, those you do for a big paycheck, okay? So let's assume I do, they have an expression amongst well-known actors, they say you do one for us, one for them, meaning I will do one for the studio. I will do X-Men because I know it's going to make $1 zillion and I want my $20 million. And at the same time, I will do a film, an independent film for someone I love and care for. There's a wonderful film, I think it's called The Word, with Bradley Cooper. It's a wonderful film. You should find it. I could be wrong, but I think it's called The Word. And what happened is that Bradley Cooper and that guy were friends, and they created that film when none of them were famous. And then Bradley Cooper turned around and became famous, and he said, hey, man, I've always loved your story. He's the budget. So he was executive producer also, directed, and they had the money to make the film. So it was a film of passion. So you do one for them, one for them. One of the earliest directors, by the way, to do that was John Cassavetes, who would make films for the studio. He would go out, they'd give him what they want, and then he would bankroll his own studios or his own films and make those films that make him, what he's known for today, the independent stuff with had more guts to them, right? So here you are as an actor. Now, in your acting department, there's no one. This is what I'm trying to have people understand. There's no one but you. You have an agent. They get you the work and they do all the bullshit paperwork. So if a second AD says, hey, man, where's your contract? Just say, talk to my agent, right? That's what they're for. But as far as the creative work, it's just you and your ideas. And if you're, let's call them a successful actor, or you're the name actor, so they approach you for 2 years from now, and here's what they say. Let's get a letter of intent out of them. A letter of intent means I, as an actor, I read this project, it's a small budget, it might struggle, but I'm going to give them a letter of intent. That means I intend to do this film, and here I'm on page 4, we'll call it 4. I intend to make this film called 4. My name goes on it. You can raise money using my name. So then that person, that writer or that director or that producer can go up to someone and say, hey, man, we need this much money. And that famous person or, that well-known person has agreed to do this project. That's called a letter of intent. Okay? And it helps people get the process going. Not easy to get, but it's your word. So if you give that word to a person, you have to do the film. That's why they have it in writing. Okay? A letter of intent matters. Not easy to get. If it's a big budget film and they've already done it, I say, great, I will do it. But, and I know a lot of people, we might do something like X-Men or Meet the Budget, these big budget pictures. So as the first time, I will get my flat fee, which is $20 million, right? I'm a big shot now, okay? Now, what happens? If you ask for a point, okay, here's how it works. You say, listen, you guys made a shitload of money off the first one. I will come back for the second one. I still want my 20%, but I also want a point. That means a percentage of the gross film. So now, and I've got some numbers. I won't tell you who the actor is. One actor was promised $20 million for a film. We'll call it The Matrix Reloaded, so you can guess who the actor is. They made $156 million because they wanted a certain percentage of it. All right? Same as, what's it called? Meet the Fockers and Meet the Parents. All the key actors got their flat fee, which is $20 million. But then for the second one, they said, I'm going to come back and do this thing, but I want more money. Okay? Most actors listening to this aren't at this level, but it's an understanding of how it works, because it's unfair if they get 20 million and the film company made 400 million. You know what I'm saying? So they want a part of it. The other thing that happens, it's a thing called favored nation. If I make $20 million, my contract states that no one can make more than me. So I now make 20 million and they hire another well-known actor. Our agreement has to be the same. So if they offer them 30 million, I automatically go up to 30 million. It's structured. So a good producer and a good line producer and a good executive producer have to be aware of all this. You can't get a lead actor in a name and promise them 20 million bucks when you've only got 100. And then all of a sudden someone else jumps on board. You go, oh shit, now we need 2 sets of 20 million. Okay? Because that other actor will come with what they call a favored nation, which is a big deal. We as actors owe all these things to the Screen Actors Union. It's one of the Screen Actors Guild. It's one of the best acting guilds out there. Okay. The other thing they give actors, and I think they started around the 70s, is residuals. If they make a film and it cost them 100 million, and now they make 300 million in profit, we get a steady paycheck. It's very, very small. It's a slight percentage, but it matters. Meaning every time they get money, you get money as an actor. This did not exist in the 60s and the 70s. I think it came around the 70s. So I remember once Eli Wallach mentioned if he had made residuals off The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, he would have been very, very well off. Okay? And he didn't. He just got a flat fee. That was the paycheck. Whatever you get, what do you get? So if the producer make a lot of money, good on you. But that's the money side of stuff. What I want to talk to you guys about is here's the difference now. This well-known actor has gotten the script for a year or two ago because they have schedules, and they have more access to the director. They know right now I'm doing this film, and I've got this film in 2 years' time. I've got 2 years to prepare for my role. I've got 2 years of talking to the director and saying, hey man, did you do this? Did you do this? I saw a recent article about when they were talking about doing The Irishman. I remember I was in a meeting once. We're talking about, 15, maybe 20 years ago, probably closer to 20 years ago. Let's say 15 for argument's sake. We were in a restaurant, and I'm not doing this, by the way, to name drop, but just so you understand how the seeds of this came about. There was, De Niro was there, and all these other people, Larry Golan were there, Barry Primus was there, and they mentioned a story of a guy who was a mobster, the Irishman, and someone had read a book. So De Niro brought it up, and he had spoken to Marty Scorsese about it, and he had spoken to Al Pacino about it. So these guys, that project was brewing for a good 15 to 20 years. It was mentioned. And then it came to a point where I remember one of them saying it almost got uncomfortable to mention that project anymore because we didn't know if it was happening or not. There was no money behind it. So you as an actor couldn't say, hey, Marty, should I work on this character or not? But finally, people like De Niro said, hey, Marty, are we doing this shit or not? Once they got the go-ahead and they said, yes, we are, we're looking for money. This was way before Netflix came into it. The actors started working on it. So that's why you hear these actors saying, I spent 2 or 3 years on it. That's the pinnacle of acting when they give you 2 years to prepare. Most of you get freaking 2 weeks or a month. So now you as an actor with a smaller role, you go to your audition, you get 2 or 3 callbacks. In LA, they get about 5. You don't actually meet the director till probably the last audition, right? So now I get the role. I've got 2 days worth of shooting, and I don't see the director. I don't see the director for many, many weeks or months. And finally, the big studios, they do 2 weeks of rehearsals. Most of you will get 0 rehearsal time. Most of you will turn up on the film set. You go, yep, I met the director, a couple of months ago. Here I am on the day of. There's no fucking rehearsal time. You're on your own. You need to have all your ideas ready. You're not the person up on top. They get a lot more time with it. We'll talk about where you fit very soon. I want to fill up the other roles, other departments, so you understand where you fit in. But that's how the money works. That's how much a name actor gets a project moving. Now, really quickly, if that name actor is doing a smaller project that's it's not a big budget, it's an independent feature, what they will do is, I will do this big project, but I also want to do this small project of passion. And the rule is this: you don't have to pay me my $20 million. I will do it so you can get names and things going on there. But what SAG does is it forces that independent person who's making this film to pay their, pension. So you as part of the Screen Actors Guild, they've got a pension. So you pay their pension, medical and pension stuff, which is very, very small. It's a very small percentage. But it gives you access to all these actors. So if I agree to make an independent feature go under the independent union contract, which SAG has one, I think that started about 30 years ago, I now have access, because I'm using union actors, I now have access to all these amazing actors. If I don't agree to that, I cannot use any union actor. So it serves a good independent filmmaker to get into the SAG contract for independent features. If you don't do it, legally speaking, you can't use any actor that's in SAG. So now I'm forced to use a bunch of unknown actors. That's why SAG made that contract. And it's a wonderful contract, but you got to pay at least their pension fund. So as actors, you can choose to do a smaller project or to bigger project. That's where you get your money from. And there are contracts to do that for now. Most of you, as actors, there's zero budget. Most of you as actors are doing this for love, and everyone on the set is doing it for love. When those things happen, I urge people, and this is where most unions should aim for, I urge people to get things down on writing. We don't do that because we worry about doing the job. Even if on the very basic thing, it says, how many days will I work? And I need a copy of my stuff. Because these days it's hard. You hear so many stories of actors not getting the stuff. That should be a legal agreement to, if I work on this project, I'll give you 6 months to a year to get my footage. I shouldn't have to beg for it. We should at least be compensated as actors. That's the minimal level. I mean, if no one's making money, great. But also there should be a contract in there. They should have a standardized contract for independent features. If you sell that film and make a shitload of money, I'm also entitled to my percentage. So that should be a legal document that you sign. Most of us are afraid to ask for legal documents. I know someone who signed one in LA a long time ago, and he bought a house. And I said, where the fuck did you get the money from? He made a short feature. It was a short. It wasn't like 30-minute long. But there was someone very, very famous in it who was from South Africa. Never heard of this actor. But he made a shitload of money in all these countries. So that person, because they had a contract, he actually made enough money, like 50 grand back then was something, to put as a down payment of a house. But the film must have done very well, right? So try and get some kind of contract that says, if this gets bigger, I'm entitled to it. Okay? So that's where you fit in as an actor. You are the head of your department. I'm going to quickly now, try to, as quickly as I can, talk about all the other departments so you understand them all, and then I'll have a final say about what and where your opportunity is. So as far as the writing department, there is the key writer, the screenwriter. There is a story producer. If they've got a TV series, for instance, they oversee the story flow. Okay, they have what they call a Bible. You as a new writer, you come up to me, and I've got a TV show that's been running for a year now, and I say, here's the Bible, here's all the characters, here's where the story's been going, and you can fit in the flow of the story. That's why many times you'll see screenplay by, and it's got 5 different names, okay, for each different episode. But they understand, so the story producer helps them understand what flow we're going in, so that your episode doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. There's the script editor, which provides, obviously, edits the script. They look at it, they understand where the story's going, and they edit it. There is a person called the script coordinator. Their job is to get the script in, if you think of it as the right format for everyone, because they have it's called the shooting script, for instance. They have a different script that they give to the location manager, a different script that they give to the actor. It's structured differently because they just want to look at it differently, all right? Let's talk about locations. The location department, where you are, why we're here. The location manager is responsible for finding these jobs, finding these, like if we're in a restaurant, which restaurant is available, right? Does this suit the vision of the director? And it's actually fun to go to. I know amazing location managers. They know every alley, every street in LA. And one of them I still remember, below LAX, which is the LA airport, there's massive hallways that they go from terminal to terminal. I never knew this, but a friend of mine, his name was Scott, he knew, being a location manager, he knew where you could find these super ass long hallways uninterrupted, because there's no doors in between. It's basically walking from one terminal to the next, and they're underground, long ass hallways, and he knew where to find them. A great location manager knows the city inside out. Okay, there's a location assistant, which is obviously works with them. Okay, they also work a lot on set. They will be the ones that are at the front. They will make sure they allocate areas where to go to. The location scout is obviously, they say to them, hey, I need this. They go physically finding it. The other key role, and this is a very key role, people don't understand this, of the location manager is permits. You need permits to shoot. Here's how permits work. If we rent out this restaurant, and all of a sudden, a bunch of people sit in the front, because we have a permit, we have the right to kick them out. If we're shooting in an apartment, we have paid everyone off or asked permission from anyone in that apartment building to be quiet that night. You can't have a party upstairs. And LA is what they call a film town. Meaning, if people know that a film is made there, they will do everything they can to assist that film. Not all towns, that's why LA is LA, right? So if you're having a party upstairs and you're shooting your film, and you don't have permission, you're screwed. But if you've agreed and you have a legal document from the apartment upstairs, you say, hey man, we made an agreement. It's either monetary that you exchange, or they just do it out of love, whatever. You have to have that on paper. And a good location manager, that's their job, okay? Nothing to do with you as an actor. But it's interesting that, you should know that stuff, okay? Many production have been shut down for production because of lousy location managers, because there's road construction going on, and we didn't know that Monday, the day that we shoot, they're going to start shooting road construction. We did a short film. There it is, that one right there, After Silence. And we went to shoot at the top of a building. And we didn't know that on Saturday night there was a nightclub below us, and you could hear this constant doof, 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 doof. We had to work around it, but that's the role of the location manager. Let's talk about the camera department. The camera department, the key person here is the director of photography or the cinematographer. I think they're leaning more these days towards the director of photography, the DP known as. Now, the DP helps the visual aspects of it all. What kind of vibe do we want? And that comes from the director. You will see many, many, many times, even on location scouts, you will see the director there. There's probably the executive producer or one of their people. There's a location manager, and there's me as a director, and my DP is right here. Everyone else listens to this discussion. I want an industrial feel, or I want a nice, homely, country home kind of vibe. All I have to say is those words, and the DP knows what that looks like. The DP talks about angles. Where should we put the light? Where should we put the camera? They understand that. So the DP works very, very closely with the director. You will be around the DP as an actor. They're there, okay? Then after that, they have the camera operator. They actually sit on the camera and works with them. You will see the camera operator. Once again, depending on how strict the rules are, you don't have to talk to them and they don't necessarily have to talk to you. The way it works is the DP will probably tell the camera person will probably tell the DP will talk to the director, and the director tells you. If you want to be really strict, that's how it works. Okay? They feed all their information through to the director, and the director tells you directly. So they might say, hey man, you're leaning too far to the left. It won't be the cameraman telling me. It will be the director telling me. That way the communication is clean. They, if you think of them, all the camera department talk to the director talks to you. I'm trying to get you to understand, the cleanest communication you can have is strictly between you and the director directly as an actor. Avoid everything else, just talk to the director. But you have the camera operator, you have the first assistant cameraman, they will be in your face. What they do is they tape. You literally see them focus pulling stuff. They measure the distance from the camera to your face so they know what lens to use, how to focus it, and when you move there, you'll see them doing all the shit. These people will be in your face. You got to work with them, okay? Not about creative stuff. Not what did you think of this? Physical stuff. And your job is to separate your brain in two. One is my creative thing. I'm doing all this stuff as an actor. I'm creating this world. I've got So I still have one toe on the ground. A very good teacher of mine said we can go into Bananaville in our own worlds, but we need to be able to take direction. So if someone talks to me and says, hey, do this, or can you move to the left because of the mic, I don't lose my shit. And I don't lose what I've created also. I can take it in, yep, move the mic, yep, do this, yep, do this. I'm still creating all the shit I need to do as an actor. So these people, like the first AC, the assistant cameraman, will be in your face while you're in there. Learn to work with them. There is the second AC also, which they usually... Let's talk film. This was before digital. They had to do all this shit. They had to check the gate and they had to make sure the film was clean. And when they finished, they had to change the rolls. A lot of that's changed up because of digital stuff, but it's there, okay? And their job also is to put it, they have a person called the loader, which they roll the film, all right? And when you hear the expression, it's in the can, that means that the roll of film finished, they took it out, and they put it in a can. And that's the can that we know of. You know, I'm sure there's a photo of a film can somewhere, all right? And it was a pain in the ass to travel. I remember being in LA and we worked on certain films, and someone had to actually take it, put it, get on a plane, and fly it to New York. And it was a big deal. They got these things called film cans. That's why they say it's in the can means, yep, we got all the shit done. It's in the can. We can move on. Very important job, and they're still out there. Just a point out of interest. Once again, I don't think it happens digitally, but I'll tell you two quick stories. When you watch especially old films, every now and then, and you can spot it after a while, you see a little black dot on the screen. Not all the time. That means that the film finished, the first reel. And there's a black dot there. And now the guy at the cinemas sees the black dot and he knows now it's a matter of time between he's got to change. Remember, when they project films onto screen, they got quite a few cameras. This and some of the reels are quite big. They're like this big. So this reel is about to finish. Imagine doing something like War and Peace or something. You know what I'm saying? All right. This film is about to finish. And I see that little marker that tells me, get this camera rolling now. So it's up to speed. You'll hear him say, camera up to speed. And the moment that finishes, this is ready to go. And as an audience, you don't even see it. But when you look at old films, you actually see a little black mark it's usually on the right, okay? Digital, they don't need that for obvious reasons. It's different, right? But film, they did that. There's a wonderful story, by the way, which I'll share with you. Rod Steiger, amazing actor, just fucking brilliant, right? Holy method actor, for lack of a better word. He was filming Napoleon, the film, in Russia. And just so you understand, when we shoot a film, now there's 10 feet of film left. I'm not going to start filming a scene with 10 feet of film. It's nothing, right? but I've got this unprocessed film. What they did in the early days to save money was they would cut that 10 pieces of film, and then they would do the second reel of film, brand new roll of film. I'm shooting. Now I've got 30 feet of film left. It's not worth starting this long shot because I need at least 100 feet. So I would cut that 30 feet of film, and then I would get all these clips. They call them short ends. So people started getting all these short ends, and they would put them together. They would literally splice. I've worked as a film editor. You'd splice it together, you'd tape it, and they would make a brand new roll of film out of these short ends. The danger is that it breaks while you're filming it. It's very physical shit. So Rod Steiger was working on Napoleon, and it was in Russia. They were filming it, and he's giving his heart and soul. And what happened is that the film broke. And he said to the director, "Hey, are you using short ends?" And the director actually lied to him. He said, "No, we're not." And Rod Steiger said, "I'm giving you my heart and soul here with every single take. If you're using short ends, I'm not going to turn up the filming the next day." And he didn't. Because he said, "Don't fucking waste my time, man. I'm giving you everything. You better get it on the first take." And he wasn't going to turn up till they stopped using short ends. So that's pretty much the camera department. Okay? Now, there is also a couple of people which you don't really see. One is the Steadicam operator. That's a special cameraman, and it's a Steadicam. It's a camera. It's got all these balances and weights, and you usually see them in action shots. These people will run with you, but as I'm running, the camera doesn't run. The camera stays still, and it is Steadicam is the legal name for the camera people, the person that came up with the Steadicam for camera stabilization, but Steadicam is a trademark. So if you say Steadicam, it means you're paying rights to the people that made those kind of cameras. It's a special skill. You will see the cameramen running around with a whole bunch of shit, and there's usually someone pulling the Steadicam person because they're focused on the camera. They don't know if they're running behind you. So it looks smooth, okay? And the other thing is you'll see a lot of these people. I mention these people because they'll be in your face a lot, what they call a video split person. As the director wants to see what you're doing. So they have a camera, you'll see the director run behind it to see what you're doing. There's a person who literally connects the camera to the video so that they can see it. Today it's done all digitally, but it's the same process. Most people don't know this. The very first director to come up with the video split, I always ask people, and they give me all these big names, Manelli and Francis Ford Coppola and all this kind of stuff. The very first director to use a video split, who came up with it, believe it or not, was Jerry Lewis. Because Jerry Lewis used to teach cinematography at, I think it was USC, all right? He understood cinematography. So he was an actor who got to understand the whole creative process, and he started directing his own stuff. And he at one stage said, "Hey, why can't we have playback?" And he's the one that came up with the idea of playing it back on a monitor. Let's talk about the monitor, for instance. It's up to the actor. I know actors that the moment they say cut, they run around and they look at the replay of that. I know other actors that don't want to see it. That's up to you, okay? For my taste, it's better if you don't see it, all right? They'll guide you if something's wrong, but that's where you see you'll see the camera, the main camera that everyone's looking at, or the screen, and they're looking at the playback of what you're doing. So that's where the producer will sit. That's where any guest will sit, the people with money, and that's where the director, that's what they're looking at. They're actually looking at what they see. But it started with a person named Video Split, right? Now, the next department I want to talk to you about, because they'll be in your face, so to speak, let's talk about sound. There's the sound department, right? There's the sound recordist who is responsible for obviously recording sound. Okay, a lot of times, and also the person that works close to them is the boom operator. They hold a big stick, and you have to have arms like God to do this shit all day long, all right? And they will have a mic right in there. You will deal with these people, let's assume you're on a film set, you will deal with them all the time. They're in your face, okay? Learn to work with them without losing your work. That's what we're here to understand. So if they're don't go, "Oh my God, there's a mic right there. No, you don't have to be aware of the fucking mic. You do your job. They will move the mic around you. Okay? So don't worry about, I hear actors going, "Oh, the boom was in the shot." That's their fucking job. You don't worry if the boom was in the shot or not. Your job is to focus on your work. Everyone has a job to do. Let them do their job. You focus on your job, okay? It's the other thing that they do, and you need to be aware of this, every now and then they take atmosphere, or Atmos they call it. They have everyone shut the fuck up, so they tape what you hear right now. If I shut up right now, I could hear the tram outside, the birds, the wind, whatever. And they need that to feel sound when things go wrong. They will literally use that sound. So every now and then they say, please quiet up for sound. They take Atmos, everyone stands completely still, and they take everything in, okay? That's what's going to happen. And there's other people that work in post-production. We'll talk about them later. But the media people you will see, they will mic you also. They'll put a mic here, they'll put a mic there. So be aware that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pick up the sound, okay? The next department is the grip department, okay? They work, if you think of the camera and the tripod it sits on, one thing to say about them really quickly, I remember Marty Scorsese said, we are dinosaurs when it comes to sets. Meaning, if I got to move the camera from there to here, to now shoot him, we're dinosaurs in terms of the technology of moving it. Someone physically has to pick up that, the dolly, the this, and bring it over here. Dinosaur time. So all that technology, we still haven't managed that the hard labor has to be there. So there is the key grip, and there's the dolly grip, and they're involved with everything. They're involved for Apple boxes, to pick you up slider, to maneuvering little things. They will be in your face all the time, and you just have to work around them. Then there's the electrical department. They work very, very closely with the DP. There's the gaffer, who's the top person. The best boy, they assist the gaffer, and the lighting technician as far as setting up everything, the lights and thing. And they are, I'm not saying a pain in the ass, I don't want to use that word. You need to understand one thing about film. There's a wonderful documentary called The History of Film. And unfortunately, the only reason why it wasn't as successful is because the narrator that they used has got a horrible fucking voice. I'm sorry to say that. Oh my God, put you to sleep. They're very monotone. If they got a better actor with a big voice, you know what I'm saying, you would have been engaged. But the information's when, watch it if you can and get past this person's voice. It's unfair on the person, but it's true, all right? It's what we're used to in more entertaining voice. The point is that I'm trying to get to, what you need to understand with film, everything starts with light. And he's right. Everything starts, it says fade in. So we have a black screen and all of a sudden light comes from somewhere. So the gaffers are very, very important. They also look for areas of shine where behind you, and you know the lighting thing should bring things that shine, seeing that this little thing could be shining in the light. That's their job. So things don't go out of whack. How much light, too white, they do all this kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? That's their job, and it's a very, very, very important job. And they will be like bees all around you, taking measurements, all that kind of shit, right? So be aware of the whole electrical department, the gaff and the best one, all that stuff. Now, the art department, a big one. We talked earlier about a director's vision. And I have this, let's call it the country home style, very homebody, very loving, innocent, people, right? That's a generic kind of thing. It's not that rough, industrial, New York, in your fucking face kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's go with that lovely, laid-back country style vibe. I, as a director, tell my team, which is the production designer, I say, hey man, this is what I want. The production designer takes all that, the visual appearance of the film that's dictated by me as a director, and they do their best to make this place seem homely. That's a good word. There we go. The production designer is top. Then there's the art director who oversees the team. They've got carpenters. They've got a set designer who designs the actual set. They've got set decorators. Should we use this black tablecloth or should we get that striped, more homely one? Should we put flowers here or not? The set, I'll read off the list of people that they have. Art director, set designer, illustrator, all right, set decorator, buyer, they go buy stuff. We've got a big budget here, right? Set dresser, they actually dress it. Props master. is in charge of finding and managing all the props used in the film. Usually have several assistants. You will see many prop master assistants, right? You'll see people props from standby props. It's a person. If I need this pen, someone will be there to give it to me. All right? Props builder. They build things, obviously. There's a person called an armorer, which obviously has to do with guns and stuff, a special category. Really quickly, there's the construction coordinator who builds things. There's the key scenic responsible for what the surface looks like. One of our lovely, lovely lab people, Steve Carroll's out there. He works as that kind of thing where they use cheap paint to make this look like marble. It's all visual stuff, right? And the point is this. You, as an actor, can and should communicate your ideas, and the good ones are open to it. And here's what I want you to understand. Here's how it works. I now have an idea about my character is messy. They've got notes on this table and notes all over the floor. That's my idea as an actor, because I know my character's messy. So I would tell the director, listen, it's not this. This is not them. They wouldn't come in with the folio and all that kind of stuff. They would come in looking like I do. So if your character comes in all nice, I either have my own binder and my own bullshit. I've gone to meetings with people that got 2 laptops and shit like that. I turn up with nothing. Right? So I, as an actor, have this artistic idea to make this person messy. So I say, guys, I hate to have papers everywhere. I either bring in my own papers, I tell the director then tells the production designer and the art director and the set designer, and they say, hey, this person's going to be messy. Their desk will look like mine. These are voices I need to express before I get to the fucking film, because now they can't do it. But you have, and I want you to understand this, you have the creative voice there to tell the director so he can tell the production designer, the art director, and the set director, and all these people to aim for that angle. That's your right as an actor. And most of us don't exercise it because we're worried about what people will think. And that's your fucking job. Otherwise, they're just going to hear the director's vision and your vision will shut down. You need to express this. My director's messy. Because if my director's messy here, the way you do one thing, you do everything else. Now we're at his house or we're at a restaurant. They do things differently. One could leave a napkin looking like this. I'll get a piece of paper. Here we go. I'll get a piece of paper I don't need. There's my napkin. Done. As opposed to, I fold my napkin nicely and I fold it like this and I put my knife and fork on that's a different actor, different character. So you have the right to express the needs of your character through the director to the art department because they will understand you. Same as props. If this matters, and I'm holding up a bullshit pink pen here, if this pen matters to your character because you've done your research and you know it matters to them, or it's something personal, or it's a photograph of their daughter or their kids or something, you need to tell the director, I want to have this in play. It matters to my character. They will then take this off you, and give it to the props person to take care of. So you will and you should work directly with these people, okay? Around the director, of course. You don't go around the director. They need to know what the hell you're trying to do. Right? So those people all matter. The other people that matter directly for you, hair and makeup department. I know wonderful actors. They've got their own hair and makeup people, and they've got their own wardrobe people. And they pay them. I remember Goodfellas when they did it. We all know the famous poster of Goodfellas. It's the way they did their tie. It's a certain V thing that they did. Someone saw that on the streets, told this actor this. That actor told his wardrobe person, and he told Marty Scorsese. And they said, hey, I got that. See, they brought that into play. It's a slight way to how to phrase this. Good makeup people, good wardrobe people, good directors, good producers work under one heading: cooperation, collaboration. film is a collaborative medium, and the more people understand this, the better we are. There's only one master, not the executive producer, not the director, not the actor. It's the story. I want everyone who works on film to understand this, because people walk around with such big egos. Or I've actually heard, it makes me sick, I've actually heard directors say my way or the highway. It's not your way or the highway. Does it work for the script? So if I walk in and I say this character is going to be messy, then it makes sense for the script. So a good wardrobe person or a good makeup person will understand that. And that's the kind of vibe we're looking for. So hair and makeup matter. As long as you've done your research, you don't just go, I think this, with nothing, no foundation behind it, then you're wasting everyone's fucking time. So we want you to be responsible with actor. Same as wardrobe department, it matters. There's costume designer, costume supervisor, costume standby, where they're, just in case something rips. Art finisher, where they make things look more worn out. That's their job, right? There's a buyer that goes, cut a fitter, all these kind of people. They're all working for your look. The worst thing you can do as an actor is this. There's your costume. Okay. There's your costume. It feels like a fucking costume. I want to live in it. If you're a very successful actor, I've seen this. They walk around, they say, I'm going to take this jacket home. I'm going to take this home, this home, this home, this home, this home. Right? And they live in it. They will not give you that right because you just turned up on set. But you can say, hey, can I walk around in this jacket to make it feel like it's mine? Walk around as the character so your clothes aren't separate from you. You've got to negotiate this. You've got to sit down and say, what am I wearing? Why am I wearing this? And literally live in your character's clothes while you're on the film set. Not as a person, but as the character. There's a wonderful film called Wings of Desire. It's an old film. You should all watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. And Peter Falk is in it. And it's interesting because he plays himself. But watch what he's doing. As he's playing himself as the actor, he's walking around. There's a massive box of hats, and he's trying on hats. That tells you a lot. That's how he works as an actor. Good actors will try 1,000 fucking pieces of clothing to find the right one. I remember reading an article with Joaquin Phoenix when they talk about the Joker, and he saw that jacket on someone, and he found the character from that jacket. So you as an actor will work very closely with the wardrobe department, and a good director will listen to your voice and say, I think this, and you can work closely with the wardrobe department. Don't be bulldozed. And not to be fair to all these departments, they're all trying to help you. So the clearer communication you have, the easier you make their job. Okay? But it's your responsibility to do your research and know exactly what you want. Don't just get loose. Okay? That's the wardrobe department. Really quickly, and we'll finish here soon. Post-production, there's a 90% chance you will not see any of the post-production people, if not more, right? There's the film editor who edits the film. I know Marty Scorsese has been using the same woman for about 50 years now. She's amazing, all right? I forgot her name, Shoemaker, right? There's the film editor who puts the film together. There's the assistant editor who works with him. The famous story, as I don't know if you guys know, R2-D2 came from that. The way it works is I'm editing my film, and especially the old days, they had rolls and rolls of film. So I would ask for a specific clip, meaning R2, the roll is R, the take is 2, D, the roll is D, 2 is the second take. So I asked for those clips because they literally get even one piece of clip that big could save it. So the way R2-D2, the name came about for Star Wars, is the editor asked for R2-D2, and that's how the name came up for the robot. That's how they came up with it, right? There's a wonderful book. I forgot who the author's name, shame on me, but it's called In the Blink of an Eye. Every director, every filmmaker should read it. It's written by an editor, and he talks about how things can be caught in the blink of an eye. You will most likely, as an actor, never meet the editor, all right? There's a thing called the colorist, and you hear people talking about that. If you watch these old films that weren't colored, you'll know what I'm talking about. I remember watching Greek films from, the game from God knows where, and all of a sudden it went from a bluish kind of color to a bright pink color to a yellowish color and then back to blue. That means the film wasn't colored, all right? They try and blend the look of the film so it all looks the same. And there's the negative cut, which cuts it. There's visual effects people, you'll have nothing to do with them. And of course, there's all the sound department, music and all that kind of stuff. You may come to, when they have to retake some stuff because they didn't hear you, you will and possibly come to work with the music supervisors and the pre-recorded mixes where you go there and you have to say certain lines again. It's a whole other skill. They'll work with you. Okay. So that's the time you're going to meet them. Now, in a nutshell, they are all, or most, I'm sure I've missed one or two, most of the heads of each different category. Here's what I'm trying to get actors to understand. All these people, every single one of them, there's at least 100 people here, are working around the clock. And like the location people, I think the first one on the set and the last one on the set is the location assistant. They turn up there to make sure everyone's there. All these people are working around the clock so that when the director says action, you are ready. The lights are ready. The camera's ready. The set is ready. The sound is ready to go. Everyone's worked their ass off for you for that one moment. So look how irresponsible it is if you're not ready. Look at how irresponsible it is if you're busy schmoozing people and joking around and making fun because you want to be liked on a film set, but you're not doing your work. You're letting down all these people. And now you understand what a pain in the ass it is to do something again or start again. Or here they are, ready for this big moment when, the actor sits in this chair and does the big scene. If you don't deliver, they feel it. They go, fuck, man, I worked so hard to get the lighting right. I worked so hard to get this done. I worked so hard, and the actor didn't deliver. It sucks the life out of the room. You need to understand this. I've seen the amount of people I see on a film set, especially now. There's nothing worse than being on your phone while you're on a film set. Get rid of your phone. If your agent calls you, it's okay. They'll find somewhere to get you. They'll call the second AD deal. They'll call a production person. You focus on your work so that you're ready. And remember, please understand this, and I'll finish very soon. You're doing it out of passion. This material talks to you. The director, the writer, all have a passion. Most of the crew, it's a job for them. They get hired for a day or two, and you hear them talking, who's worked on the next film. They literally go from film to film. We're here for 6 to 8 weeks. Some of these people are here for 2 or 3 days. I'm not saying that the film doesn't matter, but I want you to understand that the stage is set up by your work. If you turn up and you don't give a shit about your work, or you're unprepared, or you don't know your lines, or you don't know what you're doing, they're going to go, this person's wasting my time. I want to go home, be with my family. They're long hours. You start at 5 a.m., finish at 6, 10 o'clock at night. They are long hours. So if you let them down, you've now set the standard. Because I hang around so many sets, you hear these people talking. Now they go, my God, that actor did amazing work. That actor did brilliant work on that scene. Viola Davis in Doubt, fucking brilliant. One fucking scene, right? Brilliant. Everyone all of a sudden goes, shit, I spent time getting this table ready and it paid off. The actor was amazing. Now you've got them on board. They will all work their ass off for your next scene. They want you to shine. Tom Cruise, whatever you think of him as an actor, I think he's a brilliant actor, talked about that. He says, I can't be Tom Cruise. I can't be amazing with this whole team behind me. And the way to get the team behind you is to learn how to work with them, to learn who can help get your creative ideas across, and to deliver. Otherwise, you're wasting people's time, people's money, and above all, your reputation. Because until you get to that leading person who has, Main Island and all these big contracts, you're the little person who's got 1 or 2 scenes. And you better work efficiently, and you better work creatively, And you better be ready from the moment they say action, because they're going to bring you from the parking lot. You will not see anyone. You'll see all these people around you. You walk through shit and you walk over cords, and there's cords everywhere and there's people everywhere. And all of a sudden you sit down and you got one responsibility. Talk to the director. Say, hey, man, I haven't seen you since your audition. Here's what I think. Can we do this? Can we do this? If you get a chance, and tomorrow I will need a different tablecloth if we can for this reason. If not, it's okay. I'll bring my own in, whatever. Negotiate. Or they say, it's not that important, or great, we can't afford it, even better. But learn, when do you get your ideas across? Learn that what these people are doing in your face. So you're not just sitting there doing nothing, and then they say action and you're delivering nothing. It is a skill to learn to work with a production team, okay? And you need to know this, and you need to work. That's why they give you a trailer, so you prepare. Not be on Facebook. I've seen so many covers of a film. All right? I'm on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? The amount of people I have, and I say this legitimately. They go, I'm on Facebook, and they call me up or they send me a headshot, and I say, hey, get off your fucking phone and work. Get off your fucking phone and be ready. That's why they gave you a trailer. And if you have a speaking role in SAG, you get a little trailer. It's this big, by the way. You can't do any shit with it. But that's why they give it to you. So you're left alone, so you prepare. And then you've got to have blinkers on. So you know, I'm getting ready, I'm getting ready, I'm getting ready. And you need to be able to do your work when they say action. Otherwise, you're wasting everyone's time. And the big one is, and I promise I'll let you go with this, you've just pissed away your career. Because you didn't deliver, and you didn't deliver above the script. That's what it comes down to. Great actors are known for that. Watch, here's your homework. Go to all the famous actors you like and watch their early films when they had one scene or two scenes and go, wow, what is it about that person? Why did that one have a career? And it's something else that they did. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a wonderful producer. I forgot his name, and I shouldn't have. He just died. God, anyway. He wrote a famous book called "You'll Never Work in This Town." He's the one that discovered Jack Nicholson. Robert something, I can't remember now. He's the one that discovered Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson, there was an actor, a famous actor, and Jack Nicholson literally had one or two scenes working behind him. And he said, get me that person. And everyone bought the actor and said, no, this person is just doing normal work, but the guy behind him was doing interesting work. So that's what you need to be able to deliver, something of interest. It's your whole career is dependent on that. And when people see you working hard, they respect hard work, and then your whole team's ahead of you. I will see you in the next one. I'll try and talk about the actor-director relationship more specifically as to what to bring to the table, when to bring it. That's a whole other thing. We'll do that another time. But for now, that's an overlook of how the crew and who they are and who you should engage with. See you next time.